WWE Money in the Bank 2024 match card and predictions. It's that time once again. Who is going to walk away with each briefcase for the men and for the women? Myself and NXSteve will be going through who we think the winners will be this year and potential cash-ins as well. We'll go through the match card in total. Then for those who are wondering who is in each Money in the Bank ladder match, starting with the women, we've got Io Sky, we've got Lyra, Valkyria, and Zoey start from Monday Night Raw. From SmackDown is Tiffany, Stratton, Chelsea Green, and Naomi. And for the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, we've got LA Knight, we've got Carmelo Hayes and Andrade representing SmackDown. And from Monday Night Raw, we have main event Jey Uso, Chad Gable, and Drew McIntyre representing Monday Night Raw. Other matches that are going to be taking place on this show include the Intercontinental Championship. We've got Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker. We've got a six-man tag team match on the show for you as well. Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens taking on the Bloodline, minus Paul Heyman. And for the World Heavyweight Championship, we have got Damian Priest versus Seth Freakin Rollins. And of course, there's some steps on this one. If Seth loses, then he can no longer challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship whilst Damian is champion. But of course, if Priest loses this match, not only does he lose the title, he has to leave his group, the Judgment Day. Well, that's the Judgment Day for Damian Priest, but it's not our Judgment Day. It's predictions time. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. NXSteve in the house. Good to have you on board as always. How are you doing, my fella? And let's start off with asking the big burning question, your excitement levels for Money in the Bank.
Yeah, dude, it's always one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. Everyone loves the ladder match, and it's really good. It's like the fact that you've got so many people in both Money in the Bank matches that are potential winners. I think is great, man. It's not as predictable as probably what it normally is. I mean, there is obviously some predictability to some of it, but I feel there's more possibilities this year with a potential. Do you know what I mean? Surprise.
Yeah, I feel the same. For me this year, I'm going to say that I'm like an 8 for this show because purely 5 matches. Obviously, I love myself a ladder match. I won't lie. We've got 2 of them. It's going to be good. But like you say, I don't think it's so obvious. I've got my predictions clear for who I think are going to win these ladder matches. But for the rest of the card, it's all going to shape up to SummerSlam, and it can go either way in some cases. So I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. So yeah, I'm standing on a firm 8 at this point. But I will ask as well which match you are most looking forward to.
Oh, dude, it's a hard one. I mean, Bron Breakker, Sami Zayn sounds fun. Like, sounds that's going to be insane. Obviously, the ladder matches are always going to be crazy. I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's a match I'm not looking forward to. I think that's probably the best answer I can give you.
Yeah, do you know what? I feel the same. It's like 5 for 5. All the matches I'm looking forward to. But if I had to pick one, I don't say I'm a sucker for a ladder match, so I will actually go for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match because I think that's, I think, the least predictable of the 2, if I dare say. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go along. But hey, time will tell on that one if people agree or disagree with me because, hey, we've got some theories to go through. But let's go into the comments very quickly before we go into our first match of the show that we'll be talking about. 2-Speak Carl from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast is with us. And he says, talk about Money Duo right here. Good to see you, fellas. It's good to see you, dude. Hope you are doing well. And thank you for joining us on the stream. Of course, 2-Speak Carl on the Mark Wrestling Podcast will be doing their predictions for Money in the Bank later this evening. Eric Douglas in the house, surprised that Liv Morgan versus Zelina Vega was not on this card, myself included, but I did think it played out quite well the way they did things on Monday Night Raw, Steve.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's another L for Zelina, which is, it sucks because I'd really like to see Zelina at some point become a women's champion, but I think the fact it was quite predictable, I'm quite happy with that being on Raw.
Yeah, I do as well. I think it was a predictable outcome, and I think they did pretty well of how they executed on the show. So for me, well, like I said, with the 5 matches we've got, I think they've made the right call with what they've done. Yeah. Kicking it with Leo is in the house of us as well. He says, I think Finn Balor will cost Priest or Jay cashes in and wins. I can see where WWE have Jay cash in because the last time we had cash in on the same day for the men was 2016. And of course, that was one Dean Ambrose, of course, back in the day that all 3 members of the Shield were the champion on the same evening. Could you see something like maybe Jay cashing on the same night for the men or potentially a Finn costing Damian? I know we're getting into it slightly early, but do you think Leo may have something here?
I'm just going to say one word, Gunter.
Oh, okay, fair play. Fair play. That gives away something without giving away a lot. I like where you're going with that. Stay tuned. We'll get to it. That's why I think he's going with that. Bama in the house as well. Bama Stammer Podcast. Hope you're doing well. What's up to you, my friend? Good to see you back in the community. Bama is fantastic with everything he does with his this or that, with his check your temperatures. He'll be back indeed for SummerSlam season. But I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking and babbling on for about 5 minutes, so let's not waste any time and get ourselves into some predictions. And we're going to start things off with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. As I said, there we've got Io Sky, we've got Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zoey Stark, and one Chelsea Green. Heck of a lineup, if you ask me. And I've got to say that I'm quite looking forward to this match. As I said, I've given this a shout as one I'm most looking forward to. But all have got qualifying matches to get here. We have seen Lyra and Io still have a bit of beef on Monday Night Raw. Zoey Stark got in the back door at the last minute. From SmackDown, I feel that a lot of surprises, you could say. Obviously, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were in qualifying matches that they didn't get through. Feels like we found a weakness there. I popped when Chelsea Green won. I'm not going to lie to get herself into this 100%. Match. It was amazing. But what I'm going to kind of base my question for you on this quite early on is that we did a prediction at the very beginning of the year, like January the 1st, and we both said Chelsea Green would be our pick. And as the year has gone on, we both kind of went, we think Tiffany Stratton might be the one. Coming into it here, and you look at these 6 ladies now, where do you stand with this ladder match? How do you see it playing out? Are you excited for it? And who do you see picking up the W?
I mean, looking at the names on the list, you've already got, aside from maybe Chelsea, 5 of these women are risk takers. So they're all quite capable of doing something crazy in one way or another, off of a ladder, onto a ladder. Chelsea obviously isn't the most high flyer known for most stuff, but everyone else on there has got the ability to do something crazy. And in a ladder match, I just think that sets it up to be absolute fun, and I cannot wait to watch this. I mean, don't get me wrong, my heart really wants Chelsea Green. It's been Chelsea Green all year long because it's in Toronto, and you can imagine the reaction she'd get. But the thing, this is a good thing with these, is that there's at least, I would say, do you know what? Actually, you're probably right. This probably is the hardest one to call, because I could genuinely see 5, if not all of these ladies walking away with this briefcase.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I feel that we've had like 2 different predictions as we've gone through the year, and obviously those have both made the match, which is a good start for us, to be fair. But looking here, I mean, obviously Lyra has been making headways on Monday Night Raw. Io Sky has been looking to get back into the picture since she dropped the championship, and she won this last year, so she's kind of got the experience factor going in. You could argue that Zoey start looking for the breakout moment. Chelsea Green probably doing the same here, but I can't look past what I've felt earlier in the year, and I said this at the start of the month. Like, my money was on Tiffany Stratton, and I feel like it's still there as well. Look, she's on the thumbnail with a pink briefcase. I can see it there. I think it prints money. The fact you can have like the Barbie briefcase. Yeah, so I think it's there, and I think I can't look past Tiffany Stratton as a prediction.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? Just to be different, I'm gonna say Chelsea, because I want Chelsea. I think it's what I've been saying all year. It makes sense. You're probably right. It probably will be Tiffany, but like you said a minute ago, Io, Lyra doing some great. Or they've got a great shout for it. Naomi is a veteran. Do you know what I mean? There's no reason why she couldn't walk away with this. And I say Zoey, I think Zoey's just waiting for that moment to break out, and this briefcase could be it. So there's loads of shouts, but I'm going to be different. I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to say Chelsea.
Absolutely. Just I have a visual of Chelsea being in a TNA match, or it was Impact at the time. It was the Queen of the Mountain, where she was on the top of a ladder with Mia Yim going off flying through tables. So she's been in a couple of big spots in these matches previously, but it's obviously in a different company. So I hope she gets a chance to have an insane moment in this match as well. But it's going to be interesting. I think, and just to go on another factor of Zoey Stark as well, I agree she's looking for that moment to break out. But I think currently to lose would be the right thing, because we've got that Sonya Deville storyline playing out with her and Shayna Baszler in the background. I want to see that sort of come to fruition on Monday nights and see where that's going to go. But Tiffany's going to be my pick, and for NXSteve, it is going to be Chelsea Green. With no women's championships on the line, so I'm just going to ask this question quickly. With no championships on the line for the women on this show, you would imagine that there's not going to be a cash-in on this night from whoever wins this ladder match?
No, it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, there should be no reason as to why. I mean, unless Liv makes an appearance in the World Heavyweight Championship match, and then that for some reason forces it. But I very much doubt it.
That's a very good shout. Like, if there's going to be a way, that would be the way.
Yeah.
The thing for me, I hope that it doesn't, because of the fact as well that apart from Carmella, the first ever winner, the longest we've seen is a month, which was Io Sky last year. Every other cash-in was either on the same day or the day after. So I kind of hope that they are going to get a lengthy reign, whoever it is. And I think someone like Tiffany or Chelsea, which you picked there, I think would be ideal for long range. Chelsea could be the person that could hold it for like a year and not cash it in.
Yeah.
She could be the person where the clock could run out. Tiffany's someone I think when the moment's right around a WrestleMania and April sort of season just after Mania, cash it in there. And I think she'd be a perfect time for her to break out and move forward. But you were going to say something, NXSteve, and I...
No, I was just going to say, like, if I'd gone with my head choice, I'd have agreed with you and gone with Tiffany Stratton, but I'm going with heart over head this time, and I'm going with Chelsea. Tiffany Stratton is, just for aesthetic-wise, it's the right person to put it on. She's a heel at the minute. Yeah, that would be my head choice.
Absolutely, yeah. It's interesting to see how it's going to play out, but we've give our pick nonetheless, so I think it's time we go into the comment section. Just to say, for those that are watching on X, I have now dropped a link to the video underneath the tweet, so you just click on the link and you can get involved and you can actually share your predictions on YouTube. That's how you get involved if you want to be interactive with this video. But of course, you're just happy to watch it, then feel free to do so. Please like it and retweet. But let's go then into the comments. And first, Eric Douglas says Dakota Kai was robbed. Her moment will come. I think it was the right move on Raw, to be fair. Damage Control got a bit of a losing streak at the minute. Io's not happy about it. Io's the only one winning. So I think it was the right move. But well, time will tell, won't it? Two Sweet Girl says, my heart wants Chelsea to win. My brain says Tiffany. Could you imagine the pop if Chelsea were to win in Toronto? Of course, Chelsea is from Canada. So could we get that big Canada pop?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I'd love to see it. I mean, she's going to get a great ovation anyway, just being in Toronto. So, yeah, it's stupid going with heart over head, but yeah, I know I'm crazy, but I'm still going to stick with it. Like, and I really want to see Chelsea just excel this year.
To be fair, Chelsea's quite popular in the comments here, so I don't think that you're on your own with heart picks here at this point.
The thing is, as well, is that I think Tiffany can naturally get into a world championship or like a title scene anyway without having an aesthetic. So, which is why I'm going with Chelsea. Chelsea, it makes more sense for the character, but like I said, heart over head, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just going to put my last spin on Tiffany. Obviously, she's been hanging around with Nia Jax recently. Queen Nia. You can have the Queen in the ring gimmick, and you can have the Money in the Bank as a team going forward. If Nia wins the title at SummerSlam, the friction with Nia and Tiffany could start because Tiffany has the briefcase. I think it could also be some fun TV that could play out. Eric says that Tiffany and Chelsea, one of them will win in his opinion. Two Sweet Girls says, you make a case for everyone other than Zoey. Poor Zoey. But Bama says, heart pick Chelsea Green, Gold TV. Dark Horse Io gets help from Kyrie, Dakota, or Naomi finally breaks through the ceiling, but head pick Tiffy time. They're pushing her hard, and Nia will help her. I mean, could we see Nia be involved in this, or she'll just sit back and kick back waiting for SummerSlam?
It's a possibility. Nia has the ability to get involved in places where she's need not be, and like prime example, we've seen her get involved in men's Royal Rumble matches where she needn't be in them, so it is a possibility.
Absolutely. We'll talk about Twisters. Bama goes on to say Tiffany wins with Nia's help, but then screws over Nia when she faces Bayley at SummerSlam with a attempted or successful cash-in. That's certainly a plot twist that could play out.
Yeah, it is. I think that they need to do right by the briefcases, and I think that, although I don't know, it's kind of like we'll see when we get to SummerSlam, really, whether it's logical to cash it in or not. But as long as they do a well-built story with it and it's well-driven, then by all means, if it's done right by the time we get to SummerSlam, then sure.
Absolutely. Well, I can see definitely Bama thinking similar to me. There could be a bit of friction once Tiffany wins that, if Nia can get close to that championship. Let's see if and when the right time will be should Tiffany win it. But for me, it's all about Karen. Chelsea Green says Pierre. We'll have to wait and see. Two Sweet Girls says robbed or buried seems overused phrase in wrestling nowadays. Maybe with Vincent running things, but with Triple H, you got to trust the larger story at play. Dakota will be fine. I agree. Dakota will be just fine.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Baba says the same as well. He's a Papa H girl. He has plans for her. I think she will get her moment. It's just a bit of patience in the meantime. But if you've been patient, ladies and gentlemen, then you'll be wanting to know what we think about the Intercontinental Championship. Well, wait no longer. Sami Zayn versus Bron Breakker is the next match we will be discussing. This one is a very interesting one at play here. Obviously, Bron Breakker has been destroying everybody on Monday Night Raw. Was really upset to not be involved in King of the Ring. He's been knocking people out left, right, and center, jobbers. He's actually speared Ricochet to All Elite Wrestling. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen moving forward because Bron Breakker now has actually been challenged to an Intercontinental Championship match. He's not actually had to get it from Adam Pearce. It's Sami Zayn who threw out the challenge. Of course, Bron Breakker did throw his name in the hat before that. But what's interesting was on Raw, because Bron Breakker pretty much said, look, you've got guts, I'll give you that, but you don't know what you've let yourself in for. However, Sami reminded Bron that maybe Bron's not as clever as he thinks he is, because everyone says that Sami can't overcome the odds, but just look at that Intercontinental title. And just remember WrestleMania with Gunther. He's overcome those odds before. He's overcome the obstacles. We started them seeing these two get a little bit physical. Obviously, the spear was done from Bron Breakker. Bron then tried to do the run around the ring, but actually, Sami got over the top of him. Bron went straight into the steps. Sami goes for a haluva kick, but of course is speared for his trouble, and Bron Breakker holds up the Intercontinental Championship high in the air. A dreaded thing to do before a premium live event. But the question I'm going to ask you, NXSteve, is does it actually matter in this case? Because this match has been built really, really well this past week on Raw.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best built stories, I think, actually, if you look at the duration and the how long it's been going on for. But I am unfortunately going to go with touching the title curse, and I'm just going to say Sami retains, whether Ludwig Kaiser gets involved or whatever. But I think that they're going to play off that old trope where you've touched the title on the go home show to the pay per view. You definitely aren't winning that come pay per view time.
There is sometimes a feeling for me where I'm like, this is in Canada. But I did say for months, I was like, Chad Gable's winning this title. He's winning it at Money in the Bank. Obviously, they have to win Money in the Bank to do so and cash in on Sami, but I don't see that happening here. Not necessarily Gable, it's just the case I don't see him cashing on an IC title if he was to win it. But there is sometimes where you can have a false decision, a DQ, a count out, something that everybody boos. In fact, Noob has got it perfect in the comments here. A DQ finish to protect both of them, to save this to a later day, perhaps SummerSlam. When is the right time to get for example, if Bron Breakker was to win this title, because I think he's the next IC champion, is it here at Money in the Bank, or do you do a protective finish to make it happen at SummerSlam?
I think you do see, as much as I hate DQ finishes on pay-per-views, I think it's the right thing to call this time. Like I said, whether Ludwig Kaiser gets involved or whatever, I think that if you push this to SummerSlam, you can protect Sami with a loss. For instance, if they go with a triple threat, they involve Ludwig Kaiser, even though he's on the up as well, between three of them, he's the one, if they're in a match together, he's the one that's going to take a pin. I mean, even depending on what happens with Money in the Bank, maybe, for instance, if Chad Gable doesn't win Money in the Bank, he can then be put back into that picture come SummerSlam, and they can do a fatal four-way, for example, for the Intercontinental Championship. So there is a couple of possibilities they can go with. I just hate screwy DQ finishes on a pay-per-view. So we'll see, but I'm going to more likely go with. Like I said, I want to go with a Sami retain, just because it's in Canada, and I think that this plays back to our last predictions we did when we did Clash at the Castle, and it was kind of like you had three British acts on there. You've got two Canadians on this show with Chelsea and Sami. One of them's got to win, and if it ain't Chelsea, it's going to be Sami for me.
We've got a third though. We've got KO.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Well. No comment about that one.
How about this as an idea? Because I've seen this one bannered around a little bit. Booking Like a Mark, thanks for joining us, by the way. Want to see Bron beat Sami like Brock beat Cena at SummerSlam 2014? It should be a glorified squash match.
That's a brave thing to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be insane to see Bron do that, especially to someone like that has the caliber of Sami Zayn. It'd be a brave move to do. It just depends on what you're going to do with Sami. Whether they're planning on doing a rematch for SummerSlam, don't know. But do you know what? I wouldn't be against it.
I wouldn't be against it. I just don't see it personally. In fact, if I had to be honest with how I think this is going to play out, I think it's going to be similar. I'm going to say similar is the right word to the WrestleMania match with Gunther. Except for his wife, I don't think will be at ringside this time. So I don't think we'll have that interaction where someone will be distracted. But I think it's going to be a dominance on Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn will find his way back. Canada will be behind him. I think that he'll try and go for a Luva kick or something like that. And I think just when it looks like he may actually overcome the odds, that's when I think he gets speared. I think Bron Breakker is going to break the rule, pun intended, of holding up the title before a PLE, because I think that's supposed to be put on ahead as the dreaded curse. But actually, I think for Bron, the sky's the rocket for him. And I think he's going to be the next IC champion. I think he's going to win it in Canada. And just to protect Sami, when we say he can't lose in Canada, he did lose to Roman Reigns in, I believe, Montreal, I believe it was, for Elimination Chamber, of course, back in 2023.
Roman Reigns is a different caliber. You can't put Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker on the same plinth. They are two different levels at the minute. Losing to Roman Reigns is fine because everyone loses to Roman Reigns. Losing to Bron Breakker, although he is on the rise, I think is a brave move to do, especially in Canada.
We'll have to wait and see. That conversation could perhaps be revisited in about 5 years from now, because I agree with you, not on the same level now, but I think he's going to be propelled. And yeah, Bama, I think you might be thinking the same here. Says Bron Breakker is the next big thing 2.0. Will crush Sami in this match, but the rumors are false. Ricochet won't leave Samantha. He will cost Bron. Triple threat at SummerSlam will be fire.
Wow.
Interesting. Ricochet.
Dude,
go on.
I love the sound of that. If Ricochet doesn't go, that sounds great. I love the sound of it, but ultimately, with that idea, is what happens to Ricochet after SummerSlam. Because if Bron is meant to win at SummerSlam, what do you do with Ricochet? He just goes back to being in the same spot he was in before. So, I don't know, man. I love the sound of it, though.
We'll have to wait and see if the rumors are true or false. Apparently, Ricochet has been moved to the alumni section of WWE's website. So let's see. So we'll say that doesn't mean anything, because we've seen it with other people that doesn't mean anything too. But I think he will be all elite in the next few weeks. However, it doesn't seem like the plans are for him versus Will Ospreay at all in. But that's a conversation for a different day. But my prediction is going to be Bron Breakker. And your prediction will be Sami Zayn. Tiffany goes on to say, I don't think Sami should be squashed after ending the longest IC title reign of all time. Arguably not, but I think it'd be still a dominance. I think that they're going to make Bron Breakker, I think, look like a star here, and I think that the maximum heat you could get is obviously screwing Canada, which unfortunately has been a very popular thing for WWE to do over the years.
Yeah, agreed. It'll be if you was to have him squash Sami, it'd almost be on levels of Goldberg squashing Brock Lesnar. I think it would just be a complete shock to the system. And I'm pretty sure there is a creative way that they could do the squash. Whether it's I don't know. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't think it's possible. But like I said, I think if they do it in a believable way, I wouldn't be against it.
No, absolutely. I wouldn't be against it either. Ricochet's contract has reportedly expired. Apparently, it expired on July the 1st. So, for those that wish he could turn up at Forbidden Door, that wasn't a possibility, but he could be all elite as early as this Wednesday if he wanted to. However, Bama, of course, we shouldn't always believe everything we hear or read. They don't always get it right. So, if something like a shocker like happened, I'm not going to say I'd be against it. I personally would love it. I'm going to go with Bron as well, just because a lot of titles are already changing at SummerSlam. Interesting. Bama's still going with Ricochet staying, though. Wins at SummerSlam. NXSteve, he pins Bron to end that story. And Sami gets his rematch. Fair play. Well, we'll move on in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this video so far, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel a long way. Subscribe as well if you are new here. And, of course, share it with a friend who likes wrestling. Let them know we're here, because that's pretty much how this channel grows and gets somewhere. Shout out to C Nation, by the way, in the house. Says, what's up, Steve and Steve? Hope you're doing well, CD. Welcome to the house. Another fellow YouTuber joining us as well. So subscribe to his channel as well. And of course, you're watching on X. Please hit the heart and retweet, please. It would really help this go a long way. We're on 32 viewers at present. And when we've done that previously on these videos, watch them grow. They usually get more and more people join us. So please, if you could, and it takes a couple of seconds, and it doesn't cost a penny. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we're going to go to a 6-man tag team match. That's right, we've got the Bloodline in the house going against Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens, of course. Now, this one, very interesting, We've had problems with KO and Randy Orton with the Bloodline since after WrestleMania. Of course, Cody Rhodes, after he successfully defended his championship against AJ Styles at Clash of the Castle, was basically had Solo stand next to him, was confronted by the Bloodline. KO and Orton made the save. We got to SmackDown then, of course, the week afterwards, and we had Jacob Fatu make his debut to help the Bloodline and destroyed Cody Rhodes. And Cody did so on the live event, broke a couple of ribs in the process. Do love a good storyline. Obviously, as we've moved on, we've now got the 6-man tag team match that's been put together, but we don't know which 3 members of the Bloodline we are going to get. So I'm expecting Solo, Tama, and Tonga. But Jacob Fatu is in the graphics, so he could be a part of this match. Time will tell. One person that will not be there, though, is Paul Heyman, because how dare the Bloodline do this in Madison Square Garden in New York City, where Paul Heyman used to pretty much break in to get towards the backstage of the shows when he was younger. Was taken out in the main event segment. The wise man is no longer with the Bloodline for now. I'm guessing when he does return, it will be with Roman, and it will be a mega babyface pop. But one thing for sure, I would say after SmackDown this past week, the Bloodline is here, ladies and gentlemen. This new variation now. This is a hotter storyline than what it was. And, well, let's be fair, there's no one there to control them anymore. So this is seemingly a much more dangerous group on the horizon. Your thoughts of the 6-man tag team match?
Just to add to the Paul Heyman thing, I expect when he comes back, he'll come back clean shaven as well, because the as much as I love grizzled Paul Heyman with a bit of with the facial hair going on, he's going to come back looking sharp and crisp when he comes back with Roman, Rock, whoever it be. But dude, Jacob Fatu, man, dude, his entrance music alone is already impressive, and it already makes an aura about him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Solo doesn't even wrestle and they do Tama, Tonga, and Jacob Fatu, and they do them 3. I'd be very surprised if Jacob Fatu doesn't wrestle, but I don't know, man. It's gonna be fun to see, man. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some sort of dastardly deeds happening in this match where we'll get some cheap shots from whoever isn't wrestling and part of the Bloodline. But yeah, the Bloodline, I've kind of fallen off since Mania with the Bloodline, but the viciousness and the violent side to this group now, I'm starting to appreciate a lot more, and it is really fresh to see something different rather than essentially organized chaos has now become unorganized chaos, and I'm looking forward to what they do with these guys. Randy, Kevin, and Cody, dude, it's just a way to get these guys on the show, I think, with this one. I mean, I understand the purpose of it. There is a story to it. I'm fine with it. But I think there is a bigger result to come out of this, and I'm going to tell you now, I can see Cody, Kevin, and Randy losing this one, because I think logically it kind of makes sense for me.
Yeah, and do you know what? We discussed this at the end of Clash of the Castle. We said, obviously, about the 6-man tag, that we felt that, obviously, that's the obvious direction to go. We didn't foresee Jacob Fatu would enter the picture. So now there's another extra X factor on the outside, potentially, or certainly one of the members will be on the outside. So the numbers hasn't quite equaled up, even though it feels like it has now with a 6-man tag team match. This match is designed to build whoever Cody Rhodes will be facing at SummerSlam. That's pretty much the gist. If the baby faces win, you've seen Randy Orton have a couple of looks at the title, like he's looking at a long-lost lover that's got away once again for a 15th time. And to be fair, I wouldn't blame Randy if that was the situation. We can have the legacy storyline playing to full fruition. However, if we'd have believed Dave Meltzer, there's a big if in 2024, potentially Cody versus Solo Sikoa could be the main event of SummerSlam. And obviously he did say at one point that would be the main event of this show, which goes to show that not every report was correct. But one thing we will say is that I feel that there could be some legs with that, because I mentioned before about a Roman Reigns return. That would make the most sense for me for a Roman return is at SummerSlam, when Solo could be perhaps potentially about to win the championship from Cody Rhodes. I don't know. So I'm going to say that Solo pins Cody in this match and the Bloodline pick up the win.
Oh, Cody taking the pin is very brave. It does actually make a lot of sense, though, if they're going to try and build something for SummerSlam. Yeah, just going back to what you said about you were surprised about them bringing in Jacob Fatu. It does seem like this was the one thing I think I actually had a problem with the Bloodline recently. Is kind of like when they introduced It's like they've just basically rushed it all and brought all of these members in, and like, I was expecting like a longer introduction to everyone else, but that's just my only flaw with that. I think, Cody taking a pin is a really brave statement to make, because it's not like Cody's taken pins to many people in WWE. I think if they're gonna do that, he has to be absolutely destroyed in this match. Like, essentially, Randy and Kevin need to be taken out, and it becomes a 3/4-on-1 beatdown. I think that's the only way I'm going to go with that, because at the end of the day, he's your WWE champion, and he's been pinned maybe 4 times since he's come back to WWE, and like those people are like Roman, Brock, I don't know, maybe AJ's. Do you know what I mean? All top names. So it's a very brave move to do. But I agree. Like I said, I agree. I'm going to say the Bloodline wins this anyway. I think that it just makes sense to build towards SummerSlam. In regards to Roman Reigns returning at SummerSlam, dude, I don't know. There's obviously no reports on when he'll come back, so it's a possibility. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just sitting there thinking it could possibly be Rock. Jimmy's also a possible answer. So there is a few names to sort of come back that could ruin the party for him. Just who it's going to be, I don't know. It's a bit too early to tell for me.
It's going to be interesting how it'll play out. For me, the reason why I think it's important Solo pins Cody and not one of the other two is because we mentioned there, like you said, it's a brave move. But however, if you want to really portray Solo as the guy that wants to be now the head of the table, acknowledge me, and all this stuff, where that's where the killer line came from behind him. And Roman Reigns is my head of the table. Do you know what I mean? You got the big pop from MSG, and it's like, I think that you want to build him as that big threat. And since the John Cena squash at Crown Jewel last year, Solo hasn't really had that same backing behind him. So I think people haven't really believed in it the same way as what they potentially could do. So I think this is why it's important here for a big victory. And if you pin Cody Rhodes, like you say, it's effective because all of a sudden it actually does make the match at SummerSlam make a bit of sense, and I think people will be more on board with it. But I think if it's just simple that, say, poor KO always seems to want to get squashed by the Bloodline over the last sort of 5 years, but it's like, if Solo pins KO, for example, they beat them, but they've beat KO however many times over the last little bit of time. It makes more of an impact to do it on Cody, in my personal opinion. Yeah,
no, I agree, definitely. I think you're right. Solo does need a big win over someone who is better than the WWE champion. And there's your Canadian losing in Toronto, by the way. That's why I was I'm in an iron before when you brought him up, and I was like, they definitely ain't winning. So, I agree, man. It's the right move. It's what they should do. Whether they do it or not, that's a completely different question.
We'll have to wait and see how it will play out. But we've gone for the Bloodline 2 for 2 from us. Let's see what the comments are saying. They've got quite a few come flying for this one, which is nice to see. And CD, thank you, says, I always hit the like button. I know the drill. When you hit the like, it goes in the algorithm better. It certainly does indeed, CD. And thank you and appreciate you for always hitting the like button. It's been always a big supporter of the channel. It'll be most likely Solo, Sikoa, Tama, Tonga, and Tangaloa representing the Bloodline. I agree that I think that's the 3 I believe it will be with Jacob. Perhaps, Jacob's on the graphic, Jacob Fatu, but they have said potentially he might not be able to do international stuff. So that could be a reason of why he may not be there. So time will tell. But he's on the graphic, so I'm assuming for that means he will be there. We'll have to wait and see what will go down. We've got a run in the house to give his own former modern dangerous alliance. I've been taking the old with the new there. Fun stuff. Thank you, Aran, for that. Eric here saying completely off topic. We love off topic, Eric. Thank you. But so what's your favorite love triangle story? You've got Liv, Rhea, Dom, or Mina, Tony, and Mariah May. You're asking us to go WWE versus AEW here, Eric. What are you doing in the comments? You could destroy us in one fell swoop. Of course, it's Mina, Tony, and Mariah.
No comment, dude. Because that honestly, that Mina, Tony, and Mariah is such an attitude era storyline. It's like that's aimed at a certain demographic. All I'm going to say is hashtag we want Mina. That's all I'm going to say. We'll leave it there. We want Mina. That's all we want. We'll leave it there. CD says, love the chill music in the background. Thank you, CD. Glad you are enjoying it. Says, looked like Paul Heyman didn't get any sleep. He didn't. It's because he actually didn't know. It shows how much he cares about the storyline. CD, you are 100% correct.
Door one, we've had a quick Forbidden Door reference, so we'll go through door one here. Bama says miscommunication between Cody and Randy causes a loss, and KO tries to intercept, but they lose. And door two, flashback returns. Randy drops off the apron and walks away. Cody versus Randy at SummerSlam. But it does go on to say further, however, I want Cody versus Randy where it deserves to be at WrestleMania. I think the miscommunication angle happens with Jacob on the outside. Solo pins Cody. Roman returns in the match at SummerSlam. Bada bing, bada boom, is all I can say with that. Is it a lot of points there?
Yeah, I think the Cody Randy match has to be at least after Survivor Series, because I think obviously there's a War Games match in there somewhere with however many people, whoever's going to be in it. So I think that you're looking at earliest at least Rumble, Mania, possibly, but I think there's got to be a really good build for me to really want to see Cody versus Randy at Mania. But sorry, I'm just reading the rest of the comment. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends on who's in this match. Whether Jacob's in it or not. Like you said before, it's a good point. I forgot about that. Jacob has travel issues, which is why apparently he's never really worked outside of the US. But yeah, and again, Roman returning, dude, that's going to be any time, unfortunately.
We're going to have to wait and see. SummerSlam looks like a popular time for a lot of people at the moment. Mike, Tanahab's Mike in the house says, what if Chelsea Green wins Money in the Bank? The crowd in Toronto would go crazy. Her skits with the briefcase would be gold. Tiff's moment can happen with winning the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. Look, to be fair, I don't disagree. I think the points are fully valid and on point. Again, I would say I predict. As I would love to predict with my heart. I would love to do that. Because if I'm going with the heart, I would go Chelsea Green as well. But unfortunately, the head wins.
Unfortunately, logic over love.
That's what it's all about. Unless it's a love triangle storyline. CD says, can you... I will look at your comment later on, CD. Apologies, it's been a bit of a busy day for me, but I will get to your comment later on today. I always tend to reply to a lot of the comments, or all the comments I get on these videos. So feel free, if you don't say anything in the video, you can always do it after the video. Mike says, I can see Finn costing Damian the World Heavyweight Championship, leading to Finn versus Damian at SummerSlam. Finn versus Damian doesn't need the title yet. We'll get to that in a couple of seconds.
Though, Finn versus Damian really can't happen without Gunther, because Gunther already has a title match at SummerSlam.
That's true. That's true. So if it's going to happen, it won't be with the title involved. You are very correct there. But it'd be interesting to see if that is the direction or not. See, this says Cody Rhodes already took a pin at WrestleMania 40 against The Rock. He did indeed. So we'll see if he will take one from Solo. We'll wait and see. Reason that Mike has Chelsea winning Money in the Bank is every women's cash-in has been successful. They need a failed cash-in. It wouldn't hurt Chelsea if she threatens to sue WWE. Absolutely. And I personally would say Chelsea should be the person where she goes the full year where then the predator becomes the prey, because the champion knows the cash-in is coming, leading to an even more coward Chelsea Green. She'll cash in at the last possible moment and she'll fail, and it will be glorious.
I just hope it's not booked like Austin Theory. Like, I honestly, Austin Theory's at one point, his Money in the Bank run just became almost a joke. And as long as they don't do that with Chelsea, which I know they won't, like, I just hope that they just avoid that scenario again.
Wait and see. Bam asked a good question. He says, has Piper soured on Chelsea, or will she help her to win? What do you reckon?
I think there's going to be, if Chelsea wins, I think there will be a clashing of heads between them two, because there has been a lot of, like, essentially the booking has been, it's Chelsea. It has been a bit of a bit of a numpty and a bit of a klutz in the ring, and is like almost had a couple of errors and has forced some poor tag teaming essentially. So I think that's the direction they go with if Chelsea wins it.
Wait and see. CD says, imagine if she was the failing on the women's tag team titles with Piper and Niven, someone would be blaming the other person, and possibly vice versa. We'll move on in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, to our next match, and we're going to be going to the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest defending against Seth Freakin Rollins. Let's remind ourselves of the extra wager on this match. If Seth is to lose, he can no longer challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship as long as Damian Priest is World Heavyweight Champion. However, should Priest lose this match, not only does he lose the World Heavyweight Championship, he would also have to leave the Judgment Day. Because, well, Seth Rollins pretty much wants to see if Damian can do it on his own. Pretty much there's a lot of similarities between these two. They both have had big groups. They both cashed in Money in the Bank after they've won it. Both cashed in at WrestleMania, and they were both successful. But Seth has been his own man. He's gone to break away. He's gone away from the groups, and he's been his own single star and pushed himself to the top of the ladder. And he sees Damian Priest as someone that could do that. But Priest, El Campeon, pretty much just said, well, look, I'm getting there anyway. The Judgment Day need me more than I need them at this point. To the point that it's kind of upset everything that's been going on the Judgment Day. Of course, we've got the Liv Morgan stuff that's been going on, which Priest has said, come on, Dom, fix this, get rid of it. Of course, Carlito just thinks it's cool. He's been hanging around in the clubhouse as well. It's amazing how Carlito's so over in 2024. It's brilliant to see.
He's always been over.
He's always been over. But, I mean, Liv has also helped the Judgment Day win the tag team titles. Of course, Finn and JD have done that as well. Of course, R-Truth thinking that Carmelo had made those stipulations. Poor R-Truth. But obviously, coming back onto the point, obviously, Finn Balor has told Priest, obviously being upset with the idea of this, that he's changed since becoming World Heavyweight Champion. So you changed, man. You're not the guy that you were. And Priest has said, look, I stand with what I say. You do need me more than I need you because of the fact I'm the world champion. When before WrestleMania, when Rhea was the world champion, we needed her more than she needed us because she was that. I'm interested to see how this match is going to play out, if I'm honest, because obviously Finn Balor still had Priest back, obviously, on Raw this week. He was going to look to try and do a beatdown on Seth, but Priest said, no, I want to do this on my own. And that's been a theme throughout his title run. He's not always been able to do it on his own, but he's wanted to do it on his own. I'm very invested in this match, Steve.
I texted you the other day, and I think it was last week actually, and I said to you that the fact that Raw has like 4 stories going, that I'm intrigued in all of them, is just great TV, and I love watching Raw in a minute. And this one, I love this storyline, but there's one thing that makes me think that this is only going to go a certain way. And although they are teasing the breakup of, well, I said the breakup, they are teasing the fact that Priest will be kicked out of the Judgment Day. And a lot of people have said in the comments here that, Finn Balor will cost Damian Priest that match. Finn Balor, his best turns have all been when they've come from nowhere. And a prime example, let's go back to NXT, when he went back to NXT and he's sitting next to Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and they're confronting the Undisputed Era. What happens? Finn Balor does a Pele kick to Johnny Gargano, takes him out, or Ciampa, I forget which one he does it to, but there was Finn Balor's heel turn. This is why I don't think we're going to get anything conflicting with Finn Balor in this match whatsoever. I think that there probably will be some shenanigans, but I do not see the split coming for Judgment Day with this story, because I believe that they are building to a point where this split is going to come from somewhere out of the blue, whether it be, I don't know, Royal Rumble, whatever it's going to be. Do you know what I mean? I think that they're going to build to a point where it's actually going to be a shocking moment instead of an expected moment, which is why I'm looking forward to this match anyway. But spoiler alert, I think Priest is going to retain here. I think Priest really needs a clean win over someone because he's been getting help from everyone, so he really needs a clean win.
Do you think that, you've answered the question for me here, when you said he needs it. Do you think, though, with a clean win over Seth Rollins, that this kind of, I don't know, feeling that's been going on in the air, it seems with a lot of people in the wrestling space, because it's like he's a transitional champion, he's someone that's going to hold the title, so he's not going to be the guy. You've seen he's taking it quite personally. We saw the Clash, the Castle sort of press conference afterwards, and he was kind of calling out all the journalists, and he was a bit salty, if we're being brutally honest, on that particular occasion. It felt like he is annoyed about it. A match like this against Seth could be just what he needs to propel his title reign, surely.
Absolutely. And this is I've said this so many times when we've predicted on Damian Priest matches, he needs a clean win over someone to, do you know what I mean, just put his stamp on his title run. I know he's obviously, whoever wins this is essentially facing Gunther at SummerSlam. I would more than be happy for him to lose that title at SummerSlam to Gunther but he still needs that clean win from someone. Whether he, like, pay-per-view times, obviously it makes sense to get that big win on a pay-per-view over someone. But if he doesn't get it here, he has to get it somewhere between now and SummerSlam, because otherwise he's going to be labelled exactly as that, a transitional champion. And I don't really want that to happen to him. Do you know what I mean? I want his title run to be significant. But if he's going to do it over someone, then sure, why not Seth Rollins, man? Like you said, these two have had the same sort of run. They both won Money in the Bank. They both cashed in at WrestleMania. They've kind of had the same story going along. And it's kind of good to see that these two have got to the point where it's like, okay, let's see who really is the best. But if you want to do that, then Priest needs to win this claim.
I agree. And I have gone backwards and forwards with this prediction. This is the one I'm not so certain about. But I agree with you. I feel that it's a bit anticlimactic if Priest loses and is having to leave the Judgment Day because of a stipulation rather than the fact that he's kicked out of the group, because it's more impactful. You know, you look when, for example, Balor joined the group to begin with and Edge was kicked out of the group. Like, it's more impactful to do it that way. I don't know if I'm finished talking about the Judgment Day for the video, but I'm going to say for now, Damian Priest retains.
Plus, I think they still need Rhea to return first before they even get anywhere close to dropping Priest, because without Rhea, and then they kick out Priest, they're essentially just a tag team champion group. Do you know what I mean? They need someone in there like Rhea or Priest to lead them for the time being.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's go into the comments in the meantime. And there's quite a few that come flying in for this one, so I'm just going to find the right point. There we are. C Nation Dog says Seth Freakin Rollins is winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam sounds more interesting. Do you know what? I don't argue with that whatsoever. I personally think that is quite a plausible outcome that could happen at the end of this match. It could happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would rather see Gunther pick that title up at SummerSlam than Seth going on another 6, 7, 8 month run, depending on obviously what the plan is for Seth at Mania, whether they decide to actually do Punk versus Seth at Mania. But dude, it's time to put the title on someone new. This title was meant to be the workhorse title. Like these guys are supposed to be someone who's on TV every week and defending it. And it's kind of like we've just had this long run with Seth, and I really don't want to see it again. I mean, I don't get me wrong. You kind of then up in the air. What do you do with Seth between now and SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Mania, Rumble, whatever? But again, dude, I'm still going to go back to the point that Priest needs a rubber stamp his championship run, and I'd be much more happy for him to lose it to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Absolutely. Just quickly, you said about Seth having another long run. How about if he was to win the title here and then drop it at SummerSlam for a few weeks only, just to have the face versus running it?
Do people really want Seth Rollins as a transitional champion? I mean, dude, maybe it works, but then you're going to label Priest as a transitional champion and then have Seth be a transitional champion. You're going to have two transitional champions. How does that make sense? It doesn't for me.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I can see both scenarios playing out, but I also, I've gone with the same prediction as you, sort of. We'll get there. Bama says, this is my match of the night. So excited for this match. As for Seth Freakin Rollins is in, will steal the show. He's arguably the best wrestler on the planet right now. CD goes on to say the Bloodline storyline, it may be the best storyline in WWE, but Raw at least has more than one interesting story, unlike SmackDown. He does say that Raw is better than SmackDown. I prefer Raw at the moment over SmackDown of the two shows. Finn and JD will come out to help, but they cause Priest to lose. Dom comes out trying to fix it, but Liv comes out revealing she's turned Finn and JD. Dom refuses to join and they attack. Here comes Rhea, says Bama for this one, and then setting up a 6-person tag team match for SummerSlam. I like it. It's good booking.
I like the idea of it. It's just, but again, this is what I'm talking about. Finn's turns are normally a surprise, and although you're right, I forget that they've planted the seed for the Liv Morgan Finn Balor thing, so I completely forgot about that. I do like the sound of that, but I'm going to stick to my original guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. CD says last year at this time, they're also teasing the split between Finn Balor and Damian. It has been going on for a while, to be fair. They have been teasing this for well over a year. Seth versus transitional title reign won't hurt him. It'll be like Becky Lynch's latest world title reign. Completely agree with that 100%.
I know, but that's what I mean. Like I said, if Priest lose, people are literally going to stamp him as a transitional champion, and then you're going to go transitional champion, Gunther. The math don't work. Do you know what I mean?
At least Gunther, though, could have a lengthy reign after that, couldn't he? He could have a lengthy reign to help that out. But as I said, it's okay to have transitional reigns from time to time. With so many long reigns as well at the same time, which is also true. And Arun, you've been patient with this comment. You've thrown it about 4 times. They'll give it to you, even though it's completely nothing to do with what we're talking about. He suggested Baron Corbin is going to impersonate other wrestlers every week on SmackDown. We'll wait and see. But I've given it to you anyway. I've had the comment up there now. If Seth Rollins does not win the World Heavyweight Championship, who do you think he'll face at SummerSlam? That's a very good question. Who would you see him facing at SummerSlam?
I'm just trying to think now. Who's on the card? I mean, it depends. Like this depends on who wins the Money in the Bank. There could be so many things that they do with this. It may be a case of if someone ends up costing Seth, maybe they have that match at SummerSlam. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is, I suppose, the good thing, really. Is I can't really kind of work out where they're trying to go with whatever. And that's something I think there's I can understand what people are saying with these comments. There's more narrative directions for people if Priest loses. So, if, for instance, if Priest loses, Priest faces Finn, for example, Seth goes on to face Gunther. But if you go the other way, it's kind of like, all right, we've got Priest versus Gunther, but what does Seth do? Yeah, I can see what people are saying, but I don't know, man. It is, like I said, there could be, I'm just trying to think now, maybe Drew. I don't know. It'd be fun to see who Seth faces, even if he's on the card. He might not even make the card yet.
If this stream was done an hour and a half ago, I would have said Seth Rollins was winning. This is how much I've gone backwards and forwards. I can still change my mind between now and Saturday. But who do you think you'll face? Maybe the Wyatts? I don't know. It's hard to say who it would be. I mean, obviously, Seth could be involved. I know they've started with Chad Gable for a minute. They've got a slow burn with the story, but Seth would be a natural person that this Wyatt Six would want to target because, Seth has his history with the Fiend back in the old days, so could be something they might want to revisit. So that would be my early guess, but it's not a foregone conclusion. That's why it makes more sense to have Rollins versus Gunther because, like I said, you can have Priest versus Balor. But we've gone with Priest. I'm going to go with the fantasy booking later on as well. I can promise I've got a little bit more for you. Holding 3 to 4 month title reign is not transitional to Bama. It's not to me either, really. But as we'd say, that's the old school wrestling fan in 2024. Apparently, it is transitional.
No, I get that, but it's like, again, I'll go back to my original point. Priest hasn't won a match clean. Like, he hasn't defended that title clean. He's always had help, and it just makes him look weak if he doesn't at least win one match off his own back.
Absolutely. Yes, just say we've got a comments coming. No Roman Reigns. You're right. There will be no Roman Reigns on this show. You are correct with that. We have speculated, though, potentially could get him back at SummerSlam. Bama says, don't forget, Drew did say he would cash in if he won that night on the World Heavyweight Champion. Bama, you're getting ahead of us. We've got to get to that match. We're going to get there shortly. Don't worry. We're going to get there. We got CD says Finn Balor and Priest also had the momentum on the go home show. Usually the wrestler who has the momentum loses at the pay-per-view. That is true. And so did Bron Breakker. But we're breaking tradition. Again, unintended. It's all there. And also, I mean, Roman Reigns had help in every title defense, so I think Damian Priest will be all right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that.
We'll move on to the Money in the Bank ladder match because it's the last match and it can get us to where we need to for a bit more narrative. Let's discuss it. 6 men involved. We've got Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, and Chad Gable from Monday Night Raw, and from SmackDown, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, and L.A. Knight. Yeah. So, looking at this is an interesting ladder match in my personal opinion because I look at the field, a lot of people have got a lot of stuff going on here that could be, let's say, a factor into winning or losing this match. However, I would say there are 3 credible names, I'd say, that could be worthy of holding this briefcase. You've got a 4th.
Agreed.
The three I have in mind, obviously Drew McIntyre. He's like the most main event of everybody. It's the foregone conclusion one. Main event Jey Uso would have been and was my prediction for this show. Till I saw the poster, excuse me. And LA Knight was my third one. Who's your fourth?
Chad Gable. Chad Gable has always been my prediction to win. I think that the fact he's turned around and said he wants to win Money in the Bank, I think is an honest prediction. I mean, the thing is as well is I think what they're going to do is someone from SmackDown is going to win one of the briefcases. One of the competitors from Raw is going to win the other briefcase. Tiffany or Chelsea winning, I think that briefcase is going to SmackDown, the women's one, and I think the men's one is inevitably going to go to Raw. So you're looking at the three Raw competitors, which is Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, and Jey Uso. LA Knight for me is the outside shot because I think like his story with Logan Paul, he doesn't need a Money in the Bank briefcase at this present minute. As much as I'd love him to win it, I mean, I think Andrade could actually do with winning this as well because I think this guy's just got nothing going on at the minute. And Carmelo, too green for him to win it at the minute. Although he's in this match for a particular reason. He's the high flyer. He's going to do all the crazy risks, all the crazy bumps and stuff, I believe. So I think that's what he's in there for.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Carmen Hayes is there to be a standout, to have a bit of spotlight on him, hopefully get a bit more eyes on him. I think coming out of this show, Andrade is the speed champion. Enough said about that. I think LA Knight is probably going to be cost by Logan Paul. I can see that being a spot in this. Yeah,
it's a very possibility. Yeah, because I think that's the only reason why it then leads to them doing their match at SummerSlam, which we'll talk about that when we eventually do SummerSlam predictions. But that's going to be a weird one in itself. The fact that Logan Paul is the hometown hero going against LA Knight. But yeah, and then you're just left with the three Raw guys, which is why I think the SmackDown are getting the women's and the men's one is going to Raw, and it leaves literally Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, or Jey Uso. And dude, I still want Chad Gable to win it, man. I think you want to make someone break out this year. Chad Gable's the guy. Justice for Chad Gable.
He's a miracle. He's still alive after the White Six attack. I don't know what to say about that really, but yeah, he's still here. The only thing I would say about it is that I do like to say it, we do get a bit of spooky bollocks sometimes with it, and I think that Chad Gable could be involved in that with this match, but I do feel he would come out actually in a way like the real miracle master in the bank, like if he was to win it, it would be awesome. I just feel like his way of winning it should be with the Creeds helping, but I feel that storyline arc, although we've been waiting for it now for about 6 months on this channel, it's not.
They had a teaser last week.
There. They did, but he's still with Otis and still trying to get Otis to help him with this White Six stuff. And I feel like it's not going away. It's just not going away. I feel Otis is longer.
Otis is a previous Money in the Bank winner. If anything, Chad Gable should be learning from the tree of Otis on how to win a Money in the Bank briefcase. Essentially, just stand underneath it and wait for someone to drop it to you.
And then walk around with it as like it's a lunchbox. Perfect.
Lunchbox.
Absolutely. Jey Uso was my prediction. I said this earlier on, but before my coughing fit, I'll give it a bit more discussion now. I saw the poster Yeet in the Bank and I went, we've done the thing. You know, the merchandise idea is on the poster, which is like, you don't put it on the poster and then do it afterwards. Yep. It makes so much sense for Jey to win it because obviously then it would be a nice transition over to SmackDown should it be needed because of the fact that, you know, he would be able to get back into the Bloodline Civil War quite straightforward. He could go up for a mid-card title or a world title, depending on what they're looking to do at that particular time, what he'd be needed for. But I don't think it's going to happen now.
I think that I'm the same as you. Like, the advertisement posters alone have kind of cursed Jey, and I think that he doesn't really. You're right. He doesn't like if he does win. It gives them their option to go back to, to SmackDown. The only other thing I can possibly think of is which is the reason why Jey wins, is that CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the Money in the Bank briefcase. Oh, sorry, I mean DM Hunk is costed by CM Punk, and I think that's the only way that I think that they get around that. But I mean, my prediction is going to be Drew McIntyre. I think it'd be actually quite fun to see what Drew McIntyre does with his briefcase.
Well, he's teased he'll walk away World Heavyweight Champion, which is why I think it's almost becomes the giveaway that he wins it, and then does he become champion? Because I want to tell you a little tale.
Hang on a second. Does Drew McIntyre know the running order before everyone else? Then does for this to logically happen? This Money in the Bank ladder match has to happen before the World Heavyweight title match. So, unless Drew's got inside knowledge,
unless he just calls the champion out immediately after going through a grueling 25-minute ladder match, that's the only way I can see logically goes around it. But I'm going to tell you a little story because it links with the last match. You mentioned about an Impact with Finn Balor. Now, in Balor's head, Priest retains, keeps the title, is, now on destined to SummerSlam. That could be the moment of, well, we don't need you anyway now at this point. Even though you have that world title, we're going to kick you out of the group. Leaves Priest vulnerable in the ring. And this is where Drew goes to cash in. I think Drew will cash in Money in the Bank on the same night. And I think even if, regardless if there's actual turn or not turn done here, I think Priest is cashing in on the same night. And I think he's going to fail because Punk is going to cost him.
Ooh.
And that sets up SummerSlam.
I think it's... Again, I'm loving the sound of it. It kind of makes more sense now as to why Priest is going to retain now. I think if that's what they're going to do... I mean, it makes all the sense in the world for Punk to cost Drew. Dude, I like the sound of it. It's probably what is going to happen. But... I don't know. This splitting of Judgment Day, I think, is still too soon. I'm still waiting for it to be out of the blue. But hey, man, it's gonna be, like I said, I'm excited to see everything on this card. And there's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes to happen with it. But yeah, I mean, dude, it's possible, man. The way that they're booking stuff at the minute, CM Punk could just be the biggest a-hole and cost Drew once again. I mean, like, imagine, oh man, maybe this is the final nail in the coffin, and we finally get Psycho Drew back, and he just goes absolutely crazy.
I think so. Like, the thing is, I'm not convinced that the Balor turn thing happens, but I think to make a vulnerable champion at the end, I think would be a way that you could do it. The problem is you can't do the match at SummerSlam because of the fact that Priest would have the match with Gunther, so you'd almost have to delay it further. And I think that's where the disconnect from that part goes. But I do generally think whoever wins the heavyweight title match is going to have to face Drew McIntyre. And I think Punk is going to be the reason that Drew doesn't successfully cash it in, which means, because Drew hates the Money in the Bank, it's cost him championships in the past. It's even cost him at WrestleMania this year. But he was blamed CM Punk for costing the title there. He blamed Punk at Clash at the Castle, and he could then have a third reason to blame Punk here because he thinks he's got Punk done and gone after Chicago. But this just makes the SummerSlam match happen, I think, and I think that would be a perfect way to close the show off.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking that would they put off his cash in until at least SummerSlam and then do the same thing again and have Punk cost him at SummerSlam, but then there's only so much you can really drag out this story of this being the same thing. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it. Yeah, if you're right, if he wins, the story is there that something that's cost him so much, and he's obviously bragged about it being, this is going to be my opportunity to win a world title, and no one else is going to be able to stop me. And again, CM Punk has just been obviously that biggest pain in his backside. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's a plethora of theories and stories of what could possibly happen. But that's why I'm actually, like I said, really excited for this pay-per-view, because I just honestly ain't got a Scooby what's going to happen. I mean, I said that the women's one was the hardest to predict. This men's one ain't exactly easy either.
No, it's not. It's not 100%. I think Drew has given us a reason to think it's going to be him. But at the same time, I don't see it being successful. And to be honest, when I look at it, unless there's mid-card titles, I can just see this year, with the way that the world title scene is on both Raw and SmackDown, I don't see whoever wins here being a successful cash-in. I think this is just going to be a failed cash-in year. But time will tell.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Do you know what? I didn't even think about that because I think whoever was going to win it to then go and face Cody, yeah, that would be a failed cash in 100% from how strongly Cody's booked. So, yeah, again, goes back to my original point. The women's one's going to SmackDown, so I don't think we'll have the men's one go there as well.
Absolutely, we'll have to wait and see what will go down. I'm going to go into the comments now and see where we are at. Hold on, let's see if we can get this. CD says that Jey is winning the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Would love to see it. Iran asking, will WWE bring back old school Raw? Maybe. I don't think so, personally. I think that's something we've not seen for many years now.
They're changing the way the show is produced and like the Tron and the stage setup. So I think it's having a slow overhaul. So it may be presented like how it used to be. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got an old school feel to it.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. I think it's getting quite modernized at the moment. I love what some of the camera angles they're working with. Andrade Speed Champion, but that means nothing. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
When did that happen?
About a month or so ago, I don't know. When Ricochet was written off TV, pretty much he lost the speed title as well.
Died.
Yeah, pretty much. Joe still has an excuse to be on SmackDown involved with the Bloodline with the Money in the Bank contract. Exactly, see, it's what would make sense there. Bama says, Heart pick Drew story with Priest, Steph and Punk is too good. Dark Horse is Mello in the Bank or Chad Gable. But the head says LA Knight because he could use it to cash in on Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Absolutely. I think Logan Paul will be costing LA Knight during this match. I think that we will see Logan Paul at Money in the Bank.
That's actually a good shot. I didn't think about someone cashing in for a mid-card title, and I think obviously with Logan Paul evading LA Knight for the longest time, I think that Money in the Bank contract kind of forces Logan Paul to have this match. I like the sound of that, actually. I think that's something different.
Yeah, it's something different. Would not be against that at all, although I do personally prefer them cashing in on world champions. That's just
obviously,
the personal I have. I hope I say this name correctly. Sheikh Samir, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Get involved with your predictions for Money in the Bank in the comments. It's good to have you here. We've got C Nation says White 6 will cost Chad Gable. Imagine Nikki Cross climbing up the ladder and scaring Chad Gable off. To be honest, I have considered that's been a possibility. I hope it doesn't happen. I think it's one step too many.
Yeah, that or they possibly use this as an opportunity for the Wyatts to cross paths with someone else who's in that Money in the Bank ladder match. So, who knows?
Jey Uso, maybe. Fireflies.
Yeah, maybe.
Could work.
Ooh, spooky bollocks.
Absolutely. Drew McIntyre have a meltdown if the men's Money in the Bank match is last. He probably will. Mike says, with SummerSlam going to 2 nights in 2026, could you see WWE doing 2 nights for Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank? I find 3 to 3.5 hour pay-per-view is the perfect length for now. Less is more theory.
I
definitely
would say this for donkey's years that they will do the big 4: SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank. Mania, Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam. All 4 of them should be 2-night events, and emphasize that these are the 4 pillars of WWE, and they should all be 2-nighters. Not Money in the Bank, as much as it's essentially probably the 5th biggest show that they do now. I don't think in this one it needs to be 2 nights.
No, I would agree. Money in the Bank is fine as 1 night. I think Survivor Series would be my choice as the 4th one if it was to be, for the same reasons you picked. Also, it's like the 2nd longest PLE ever with War Games as well. I think you can make it work, but the only problem is they're not stadium shows.
Matches.
Yeah, but they're not stadium shows. I think that's the only thing. But Royal Rumble for sure. I think at this point it was a guarantee to become a 2-night event at this point. It's just when, not if. I think it now. Bama says, where do you stand on Drew versus Punk? Most Americans side with Punk, but firmly with Drew. But I'm firmly with Drew, and completely understand where he's coming from in this. He has legit gripes and isn't wrong at all. I think that's the beauty of the story, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, I think I don't know, because I think the idea was it was meant to be like a UK versus US thing, because I think we were meant to hate Punk over here in the UK, and everyone in the US is meant to hate Drew. So, do you know what I mean? There's supposed to be some sort of conflicting story there, but man, I don't know. I'm on the side of whoever I want to win at the time. It's hard for me to tell at this present minute. I do, I love Punk, and Drew's doing some excellent stuff. I think if I had to choose, I'd probably say I'm on Punk's side at the minute.
I'm on Punk's side. And the thing is I love what it's done to Drew with his character. The more that he gets like, well, he wants to become hypocritical. Because he's not wrong with everything he says, but he does become a bit hypocritical in his actions. And the more I see it, the more I've really enjoyed watching Drew in 2024. It's definitely one of my wrestlers of the year. But Punk, for me, I'm a big Punk fan. So, you know, he can't do no wrong. Just going to put it out there. He can't, literally, for any AEW fan watching, Punk can't do no wrong.
In Punk, we trust.
Exactly. There's never been a wrestler to cash in on the same night that have won Money in the Bank and fail at it. Interesting. So if they cash in on the same night, they've never failed. Enter Drew McIntyre. That's all I'm going to say. What if AJ Lee pushes Drew McIntyre off the ladder? I'd just be so happy that AJ was back.
Yeah, agreed, but I don't think that'll happen.
No, neither do I. Bama says Royal Rumble 2 nights. I like it because the Rumble could main event both nights, and the winners can have equal glory moments. That SummerSlam and Mania 2 nights is great. I think so as well, and you summed up perfectly, really. I think Royal Rumble is my favorite show of the year, but it has become difficult to watch 2 Royal Rumble matches back to back on the same show for about 4 to 5 hour show with 2 Rumble matches. I think is a bit heavy in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the good thing is that they don't put many matches in between. But yeah, I agree. That's definitely got to be the one that definitely goes to be in 2 nights. For me, SummerSlam just needs a stick. It needs a gimmick or something. Like, obviously, Mania is the biggest show of the year. Rumble has the Rumble. I think with Survivor Series, obviously, it has War Games. So you've got your excuse to do 2 different nights. SummerSlam, I know it's meant to be the biggest party of the summer, but for me, it needs something. I mean, essentially, it's just otherwise 2 nights of matches, really. It needs something for me.
Be interesting to see how the dynamic will go with SummerSlam as they do that, because SummerSlam for me was one of my favorite shows growing up. It's now like gone down the pecking order a little bit, but it's just for personal preference, I guess. But be interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Should still be good. I think hopefully. See, this is no one has ever cashed in from. No one should ever cash in for a mid-card title again. That was the worst Triple H booking I've ever seen. To be honest, I wasn't a fan of it either. I preferred them going for world titles, but then that's just me.
Yeah, agreed, man. I mean, like, the only time I could. There is no real time, actually. I mean, I can't even think of a plausible excuse as to why you wouldn't cash in a Money in the Bank briefcase for a world title. It's stupid. I mean, like, unless you've got a die-hard tag team, and even then, again, for example, if it was the New Day, Xavier Woods deserves a chance at world champion. The rest of them have all been a world champ, so why not Xavier as well?
Absolutely. And right in the death, if this comment didn't come in during the stream, I'd have been very sad. So welcome Richard JR to the stream. Zoey Stark wins Women's Money in the Bank 2024. Richard, you never disappoint. I am so thankful you've written that comment, and I hope for you that it happens, but you've probably seen early in the stream. Unfortunately, we have gone different on predictions, but the fact that she's there is awesome. 1 in 6 chance. I hope she does it for you, honestly. We've got some more questions that come flying in just as we're about to cut it off. So I'll tell you what, let's go for it. CD says Otis was considering cashing in for the tag team titles. Oh, that's painful memories, CD. That's painful memories. Roger says, what has Zelina Vega done to get a title shot? And nothing for me. She's not wrestled, I don't know for how long. Yeah, kind of, but I mean,
grudge match.
Win, so, yeah, it
was a grudge match, this one.
Yeah, it was a grudge match, and it's nothing to worry about. She didn't get the job done. Bama says, can't trust Punk. Sorry, when he faces Seth in Vegas, he has 0 love from me. Oh, I tell you, can't wait for that match. Can't wait for it.
Trust. Sorry, and when we face the dude, if it happens, I would love to see it, man. Like, just we obviously should have got it this year, so fingers crossed we get it next year.
Hope we get it next year. To be fair, like, we can say, what the thing is, Punk is divisive. You love him or you hate him. The thing that makes him great is the fact that whatever story he's in, people are invested, whether they love him or hate him. The story with Drew is amazing, and you know that if there's a story going to be with Seth, it's going to be amazing. So it's just the thing of the guy knows how to get people invested. So that's why I tend to side with Punk a lot, because I've always enjoyed his stories. It's always been an investment every single time. So, but the thing is, I'm loving the Drew storyline. I'll love the Seth storyline if and when it comes. Yeah. Mike says, Bama, I like Punk, but I'm siding with Drew. What if down the road they do a double turn and Punk turning heel and Drew turning face? This would be like a Brett versus Austin elements to it. That's an interesting theory. I good to see them doing something like that down the line. But I think people find it hard to boo Punk in WWE. I don't know what it is with the fan base, but it seems to be a love for Punk in WWE right now.
Yeah, because I'm at the present minute, I don't actually know who's meant to be the heel in this feud because they're kind of both tweeners. Like, Punk is hated in certain, like he's hated in certain places and loved in another. And same with Drew. So, like, Drew is meant to be a heel this whole time, and like now he's playing the victim, and then all of a sudden he beats Punk within an inch of his life, and then leaves him for dead, and steals this bracelet that has obviously significant momentum to Punk, and then he's posting it all over Twitter. So yeah, they're both playing a tweener role at the minute. They'd have to do something really extreme to get a proper heel face dynamic out of this now.
Absolutely. Just to say very quick, you mentioned the bracelet. I'm glad you did, because I think when Punk actually costs Drew the cash in, I think he'll take the bracelet back, but I think he's going to join it with another bracelet on his hand. He has like the I love AJ and Larry bracelet. He's going to have the I hate Drew bracelet as well.
He's going to steal the sword as well.
Yeah, that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. Sid says Tiffany Stratton is winning Money in the Bank. I don't see Chelsea Green winning. Thank you for your predictions, Sid. Kayfabe hates him as a talent on the mic. He might end up being top 10 of all time. Bama. Very well said indeed, my friend. Very well said indeed. Zayn asked, do we think any TNA wrestlers will show up at Money in the Bank? Say his name, he'll appear. Unfortunately, I don't think Joe Hendry or any TNA talents will. Heatwave, possibly. Heatwave on the following day, which those predictions are available on the channel right now, by the way. If anyone's not seen them, go and check out the Heatwave predictions. I was going to do it as a stream, but damn, the world and life is a bit too busy. So NXT, unfortunately, Heatwave had to suffer and had to go into a shorter video content, but it also means not so much time you have to dedicate to watch it. It's less than 10 minutes long. Go and check it out. CD, thank you for the kind words, for saying great stream. And thank you to everyone has been watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. And of course, if you're watching on X, Twitter, I prefer Twitter. You might prefer X. We're all in this together. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves. Please hit the heart button if you've enjoyed it. Hit the retweet as well, because this is actually available on delay for everybody over there, which is fantastic. So anyone that actually stumbles across this in an hour or two from now thinks, can't be bothered to watch NXT, I'm going to watch Money in the Bank predictions instead. They can watch our faces and they can watch this on delay. Fantastic. So if you can do that, really helps the channel a long way. Really, really does. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you as well, Bama, for the kind words as always. Bama, look forward to seeing you back in the wrestling space as well. Hopefully get to collaborate with him as well on the road to SummerSlam. And Steve, big thank you to you. You've been involved with the video once again. Great to have you involved as always.
Dude, always a pleasure. I look forward to talking with you again. I'm sure at some point, maybe next week, if we end up doing a review for it, if time, like, do you know what I mean? If time is available, if there is time in the busy week, then we can do one. And yeah, man, look forward to all that.
Keep an eye out for Sunday, everybody. Keep an eye out for Sunday. That's the one we're looking for. We're looking towards Sunday. Yeah, no, and also just a last thank you to our chat. The chat that keeps us busy, that keeps us involved. We'd have been done in 10 minutes on our own. So thank you all for everybody. You kept us here for the last hour and a bit with your great comments and questions. So thank you all so much. Check out more videos on the YouTube side. In the meantime, you can check out some videos on X if you want to of old streams we've done, but I'd recommend come over to the YouTube side. You get more up-to-date content on that side of things. But thanks for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. There'll be more shorts and videos dropping in the week, and we'll see you for the next video. All the best.